But I want to touch on the goaltending because that was another area where people had wondered, okay, they signed Reimer, who now was claimed by Anaheim. What a Sabres tenure for James Reimer. But it
0 games played. He literally did not play in the preseason.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But so Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, obviously Lindy Ruff said in his press conference, I got 3 words, UPL. So that's the guy that they're looking at. Impression that maybe they would give Reimer the backup job, a little bit similar to what Eric Comrie had last year, where he might not even play most of the games. They would call Levi up from Rochester to spot start here and there. But it looks like now that Levi is going to be the backup to UPL, and he's already played a game. So what are you thinking from the way that they're going to go about this goaltending situation? And it looks like Levi is going to be the full-time backup to UPL. He's not going to be the starter in Rochester. And with Reimer getting claimed by the Ducks, that makes it a lot easier, I guess, or force their hand a little bit. But what are you thinking about how they're going to go about the goaltending situation and what the percentage of starts are going to be this year for both?
I too kicked around the idea that maybe for the first month of the year, James Reimer would back up, and then maybe you have Levi just play games in Rochester because you need to have him playing games as opposed to sitting around and backing up. But if they were going to do that, they were doing it in a real weird way because, like I said, Reimer didn't play any preseason games, so it became kind of clear pretty fast that Devon Levi was going to be the backup, and it was just a matter of whether or not they could get Reimer through waivers and down to the AHL. Obviously, it didn't work out. Bad timing for the Ducks for John Gibson to have emergency appendectomy surgery, that's for sure. But I think what we're going to see with the goaltending this year is it's going to be very similar to what Boston was doing with Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman, except these two guys are really young. Linus and Swayman, like Swayman was young and Linus was more of a veteran, but like those guys are about as similar as you could get performance wise. I think there's still a little bit of questions, but just wonder about how is this going to play out? Because obviously Luukkonen had a great year last year, and the expectation is that he's just going to keep that going, which is fine. I think that's the right expectation to have because he took a big step last year, and you're like, well, if he falls apart, that just stinks. But with Levi, he played really well in Rochester last year. He played very well in the playoffs, even though they got knocked out in the first round by Syracuse. But Devon's really good. He's a complete changeup from the way Luukkonen plays. Levi's, has to use his speed, and he's active and a little bit unpredictable. I think Luukkonen's a little bit more not. I think he's a little bit more of like a traditional type goalie where, he's big, he covers a lot of net anyways. And then, he just plays the position the way, it's taught to be played. So that provides a nice change up because if you're preparing, maybe Levi pulls a few rabbits out of his hat, stopping some pucks that you thought were going in. And, and in Luukkonen's case, like he just plays so solid that he's shutting you down. And you're like, oh man, like gonna be hard tonight. This stinks. Like we don't care for that. But I think percentage wise, I think you're probably looking at like a 55-45% split.
Okay.
I think it's going to be close to that because you just can't have Levi sitting around. And when you look at the schedule this season, it's so compact. It is so compact, and there's going to be a lot of like 3 and 4s, especially like some of these months. I think in March they play 16 games in March.
Wow.
16 out of 31 days they've got a game in March. Like that's bonkers. So we're gonna see a lot of both of these guys, but it's Lindy's talked about this a little bit. He even said, like, if there's a guy that's playing really well, he's like, you tend to lean on the hot guy, but you still have another very good goalie, backing them up to spell them and just kind of give everybody a break. So it's a nice problem to have. I just hope. I think the biggest thing for everybody though is that there's only 2 goalies in camp, so like they don't have to try to break it up amongst 3 dudes and figure out how to do it and have one guy happy starting and 2 others really ticked off about the situation.
Yeah, like hypothetically, if it wasn't Levi and let's say Eric Comrie or Reimer were still here, do you think that would have been more so like an 80-20 or 70-30 split? But because it's Levi and like you mentioned, they want to get him starts, it's going to be closer to that 55-45 or 60-40 split.
Yeah, I absolutely think so because if you have a veteran backup, you're looking to lean on your number one guy, and then if he struggles a little bit, then you've got somebody who's got the track record to be able to like, okay, let's give him a couple starts, let's let the other guy reset and get clear his head and do whatever. But you're not counting on that guy to carry you because if you have to, you're in trouble. Whereas this case, you've got 2 high pedigree two high prospect pedigree type goalies where if somebody's struggling a little bit, it's the open window for the other guy to jump in and be like, all right, maybe I can make this job mine. Right now it's Luukkonen's job, obviously, but Levi's played pretty well both of his starts. So we'll see how this goes. It's gonna be a long year, and I feel like there's definitive camps already built for one goalie or the other out there amongst the fans. But like I said, it's a nice problem to have. I don't think there's been a situation like this in Buffalo in goal since like what, Marty and Dom maybe, or Marty and Ryan Miller, where it's like, hey, we got two really good guys here. This is cool.
I was under the